What happens when a duchess walks onto a morning show expecting royal treatment, but gets hit with questions she absolutely refuses to answer? In just 37 seconds, one comment about accountability turned a friendly interview into the most explosive exit daytime television has ever witnessed. This morning had seen countless celebrity guests walk through its doors. Movie stars, musicians, politicians, but nothing could have prepared Allison Hammond and the production team for what was about to unfold when Meghan Markle sat down on that famous sofa. The interview was supposed to be straightforward, a chat about her latest ventures, maybe some lighthearted banter, the usual morning television fare. But from the moment Meghan walked onto the set, there was a tension in the air that nobody could quite put their finger on. Allison greeted her guest with her signature warmth and infectious smile. "Welcome, welcome. It is so lovely to have you here with us today. How are you? Feeling?" Meghan settled into the sofa, adjusting her microphone with a polite but somewhat tight smile. "Thank you for having me, Allison. I am doing well." Already, viewers at home could sense something was off. The energy was stiff, formal, lacking the easy chemistry that usually made this morning interviews so enjoyable to watch. Allison, ever the professional, pushed forward with genuine enthusiasm. "Now, you have got so much going on at the moment. New projects, new initiatives. Our viewers are absolutely fascinated by everything you are doing. Let us start with your latest venture. Can you tell us a bit about what you have been working on?" Meghan launched into what sounded like a well-rehearsed speech about empowerment and making a difference. But there was something performative about it, something that did not quite ring true. Allison listened intently, nodding along, trying to find genuine moments to connect with her guest. Then came the first sign of real trouble. Allison, doing what any good journalist does, asked a perfectly reasonable follow-up question. "That sounds absolutely wonderful. But I think what our viewers really want to know is how you balance all of these public projects with the criticism that sometimes comes your way. How do you handle that?" The atmosphere in the studio shifted immediately. Meghan's expression changed. The polite smile vanished, replaced by something much colder. "I think that is a rather unfair characterization, Allison. The criticism I face is not normal criticism. It is targeted, it is relentless, and frankly, it is rooted in things that have nothing to do with my work." Allison, sensing the tension but remaining professional, tried to soften her approach. "Of course, and I completely understand that. I was simply asking how you cope with it, not suggesting it is fair or justified." But Meghan was not backing down. "You say you understand, but do you really? Do you know what it is like to wake up every single day and see lies written about you? To have people question your every move, your every intention?" The camera captured everything. Allison's face showed genuine concern and confusion. She had asked a standard interview question, the kind asked on talk shows every single day. But somehow it had triggered something in her guest. "I absolutely hear you," Allison said carefully, "and I cannot imagine how difficult that must be. But what I was trying to explore is how you stay strong through all of that. Our viewers face challenges too, maybe not on the same scale, but they struggle with criticism and negativity in their own lives. I thought it might be helpful to hear your perspective." Meghan leaned forward slightly, her voice taking on an edge. "Allison, I do not think you can compare what your viewers go through to what I have experienced. The level of scrutiny, the institutional forces working against me, it is not the same thing at all. The audience at home could feel it." This was not going well. Allison, to her credit, remained calm and composed. She was not going to let this derail the interview. "You are absolutely right. Everyone's experience is unique. I was not trying to diminish what you have been through. I was simply hoping to find some common ground, something relatable for the people watching at home." But Meghan seemed determined to take offense. "Common ground? I think that is part of the problem, Allison. People always want to make everything relatable. to bring everything down to some putong level. But some experiences cannot be made relatable. Some experiences are extraordinary, and they need to be recognized as such. Allison took a breath. She could feel this slipping away from her, but she was not going to give up on her guest or her audience. I think our viewers are incredibly understanding and empathetic. They do not need everything to be exactly like their own experience to care about it or to support you. They just want to connect with you as a person. Meghan's laugh was short and sharp. Connect with me as a person? Allison, do you know how many times I have tried to connect with people as a person? And what happens? Everything I say gets twisted, gets taken out of context, gets used against me. The interview was quickly becoming uncomfortable to watch, but Allison was a professional, and she was not going to let her guest derail the show entirely. She decided to try a different approach. Let us talk about something positive then. Your charitable work. You have been involved in several causes that are clearly close to your heart. Tell us about those. For a moment, it seemed like the conversation might get back on track. Meghan spoke about various initiatives, about wanting to make a difference in the world, but even here, there was an undercurrent of defensiveness, as if she expected every word to be challenged. Then, Allison asked what should have been a simple question. These are all wonderful causes, and I am sure our viewers would love to know how they can get involved or support these efforts. What would you say to someone watching at home who wants to help? Meghan's response was startling. Well, first, they need to educate themselves. They need to understand the complexity of these issues. It is not enough to just want to help. You have to put in the work to really understand what is at stake. Allison smiled encouragingly. Absolutely. Education is so important. But practically speaking, are there organizations people can donate to? Ways they can volunteer? Meghan sighed, actually sighed on air, as if the question was beneath her. Allison, I feel like you are trying to reduce everything to these very simplistic actions. Donate here, volunteer there. Real change requires systemic transformation. It requires people to examine their own biases and privileges. Allison's patience was truly remarkable. Of course it does. But surely those small actions can be part of that larger change. Not everyone is in a position to transform entire systems, but they can still contribute in meaningful ways. Meghan shook her head. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This mindset that small actions are enough. They are not enough. They have never been enough. The production team behind the cameras were exchanging worried glances. This was not the uplifting morning show content they had planned. But Allison was not done trying to salvage this. I think what you are saying is really important, and I know you feel passionately about these issues. But I also think there is value in encouraging people to do what they can, even if it feels small. Every journey starts with a single step, as they say. Meghan's expression hardened. That is a very privileged perspective, Allison, to think that incremental change is acceptable when people are suffering right now. Allison blinked, taken aback by the accusation. I am not saying incremental change is acceptable as an endpoint. I am saying it is a starting point for many people. Not everyone has the platform or the resources that you have. And there it was. The comment that would change everything. Meghan's eyes flashed. Excuse me? Are you suggesting that I am privileged? Do you have any idea what I have given up? What I have sacrificed? Allison remained calm, her voice steady. I am not questioning your sacrifices. I am simply pointing out that you do have a significant platform, which is wonderful because it means you can reach so many people and inspire real change. But Meghan was not hearing it. You know what, Allison? I came here thinking this would be a respectful conversation. But clearly, you have your own agenda. You want to paint me as some out-of-touch elite who does not understand real struggle. Allison's eyes widened. That is absolutely not what I am trying to do. I have been nothing but respectful and interested in what you have to say. Meghan stood up slightly in her seat. Respectful? You have been condescending from the moment I sat down. Every question has had an undertone, every comment designed to undermine me. The studio had gone completely silent, except for their voices. Allison could feel dozens of eyes on her. The crew, the producers, everyone watching to see how she would handle this. Meghan, I genuinely do not know where this is coming from. I have asked you about your work, your causes, how people can support you. These are standard questions. Meghan laughed bitterly. Standard questions. Right. Just like it is standard to question my credibility, to suggest I am being dramatic, to imply that I am overreacting to genuine persecution. Allison shook her head slowly. I have not done any of those things. I have not questioned your credibility or called you dramatic. I have simply tried to have a conversation. Meghan gathered her bag from beside the sofa. This is pointless. I should have known better than to expect fair treatment. From the British media, even on a morning show, even from someone who claims to be supportive, it is always the same. Allison finally let a bit of steel enter her voice. Hold on a moment. I am not the British media as a whole. I am Allison Hammond, and I have treated you with nothing but respect and kindness since you walked through that door. If you are upset about how you have been treated elsewhere, that is valid. But you cannot take that out on me when I have done nothing wrong. The tension was unbearable. Meghan looked at Allison with an expression that was hard to read. Anger, certainly. But maybe something else too. Defensiveness. Vulnerability. You do not get it. You cannot possibly understand what it is like. Allison leaned forward. You are right. I cannot fully understand your specific experience, but I do understand difficulty. I do understand judgment. And I understand that lashing out at people who are trying to engage with you, honestly, is not going to help. Anything. Meghan's voice rose slightly. I am not lashing out. I am defending myself against yet another attempt to make me look bad. Allison's composure was incredible. Nobody is trying to make you look bad, but right now, the way you are speaking to me, the accusations you are making, they are not fair. I invited you here to share your voice, to talk about things you care about. And instead of engaging with that opportunity, you have turned this into something confrontational. Meghan stood up fully now. I do not have to sit here and be lectured by you, Allison. I came here as a courtesy, and this is how I am treated? Allison remained seated, looking up at her guest. You are being treated like every other guest on this show, with respect, with curiosity, with genuine interest. If that is not enough for you, then I am truly sorry. Meghan reached for her microphone, beginning to remove it. This interview is over. Allison nodded slowly. If that is what you want. But I think you should know that walking out like this, over questions that were completely reasonable, it is not going to send the message you think it sends. Meghan paused, her hand still on her microphone. And what message do you think it sends, Allison? Allison chose her words carefully. That you cannot handle genuine conversation, that you expect softball questions and praise, and anything else is an attack. That is not strength. That is fragility. The words hung in the air like a bomb that had just been dropped. Meghan's face flushed. How dare you? How dare you call me fragile after everything I have been through? Allison stood up now too, meeting her guest eye to eye. I did not say you were fragile. I said that walking out of an interview because someone asked you reasonable questions, that action is fragile. There is a difference. Meghan was shaking slightly, whether from anger or something else was unclear. You have no right to judge me. You have no idea what it takes to survive what I have survived. Allison's voice remained steady, but there was a firmness to it now. You are absolutely right. I do not know your exact struggles. But I know that if you want people to understand you, if you want to change hearts and minds, you have to be willing to engage, even when it is uncomfortable, even when the questions are not exactly what you want to hear. Meghan finished removing her microphone, handing it to a stunned producer who had approached from off camera. I have engaged for years, and all it has brought me is more pain, more criticism, more judgment. So forgive me if I am done trying to make people like you understand. Allison took a deep breath. I am not asking you to make me understand. I am not your enemy, Meghan. I never was. But you walked in here treating me like I was. And that is on you, not on me. Meghan picked up her bag. This was a mistake. I should never have agreed to this interview. Allison nodded. Maybe you are right. Maybe you are not ready to have these conversations yet. And that is okay. But do not blame me for your choice to walk away. Meghan turned toward the exit, then paused, looking back at Allison. You will edit this, will not you? Make me look terrible. That is what you people do. Allison's expression was a mixture of sadness and frustration. We will air what happened. That is what we do on live television. We show the truth. And the truth is that I asked you fair questions, treated you with respect, and you responded with hostility and accusations. Meghan's voice was cold now. Your version of respect is interrogation. Your version of fair questions is designed to trap me. Allison shook her head. That is simply not true, and deep down, I think you know that. But you are so used to being defensive, so used to seeing attacks everywhere, that you cannot recognize genuine interest when it is right in front of you. Meghan took a step toward the exit. I am done with this conversation. Allison called after her, her voice carrying across the studio. Just remember, Meghan, you chose this. Nobody forced you to walk out. Nobody attacked you. You made a choice about how to handle a conversation that did not go exactly the way you wanted. Own that. Meghan stopped walking, but did not turn around. You do not know anything about me or my choices. Allison's response was gentle but firm. I know what I saw today. A woman who could not handle being asked to explain herself. A woman who expected to be treated like she was above questioning. And a woman who, when faced with the reality that she is not, decided to run away rather than engage. That was it. The final straw. Meghan spun around, her voice sharp. I am not running away. I am refusing to participate in a charade designed to humiliate me. Allison spread her hands. How have I tried to humiliate you? By asking about your work. By asking how people can support your causes. By suggesting that small actions have value? Which of those questions was humiliating? Meghan could not seem to find an answer. Her mouth opened and closed. Finally, she said, it is the way you ask them, the tone, the implication behind every word. Allison sighed. I ask them the same way I ask every guest, with interest, with respect, with genuine curiosity. If you heard something else, that is about what you brought into this room, not about what I put into my questions. Meghan looked around the studio, at the cameras still rolling, at the crew standing frozen, unsure of what to do. This is going to be everywhere, is not it? You are going to make sure everyone sees this. Allison's voice softened slightly. It is live television. People are already seeing this. And yes, it will be talked about. But that is not because I want to embarrass you. It is because you chose to make this confrontational. You had every opportunity to have a good conversation, and you chose conflict instead. Meghan's shoulders sagged, just slightly. You do not understand. You could never understand. Allison took a step closer. Then help me understand. Sit back down. Talk to me like I am a person trying to learn, not an enemy trying to hurt you. That is all I have ever wanted from this interview. For a moment, just a moment, it seemed like Meghan might reconsider. But then her walls went back up, her expression hardening again. No, I am not going to give you that satisfaction. I am not going to sit here and be dissected for your audience's entertainment. Allison's voice was sad now. That was never what this was about. But you have convinced yourself of that narrative so completely that you cannot see any other possibility. Meghan headed for the exit once more. Goodbye, Allison. I hope you are happy with what you have accomplished here today. Allison called after her one last time. I am not happy. I am disappointed. I wanted to have a meaningful conversation with you. I wanted our viewers to see a different side of you, but you would not let that happen. You were so busy being defensive that you missed the opportunity right in front of you. Meghan did not respond. She walked through the studio door and disappeared from view, leaving Allison standing alone on the set, the cameras still rolling, capturing every moment of the aftermath. Allison turned back to face the camera, taking a deep breath before speaking directly to the viewers at home. Well, that was not what we had planned for this morning. I genuinely tried to have a respectful conversation. I hope you could all see that. But sometimes, despite your best efforts, things do not go the way you hope they will. She sat back down on the sofa, smoothing her skirt, trying to regain some sense of normalcy. We are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will have a cooking segment that I promise will be much more pleasant than what you just witnessed. We will see you in a few minutes. As the show cut to commercial, Allison sat there for a moment, processing what had just happened. The crew slowly started moving again, people approaching her to check if she was okay. She nodded, forcing a smile, but inside she was reeling. She had interviewed hundreds of people over her career. She had handled difficult guests, emotional moments, unexpected situations. But this was something else entirely. What made it worse was that she genuinely had meant well. Every question had come from a place of interest and respect. She had wanted to give Meghan a platform to share her perspective, to connect with viewers, to show the person behind the headlines. But instead, she had been met with suspicion, defensiveness, and ultimately hostility. It was not just disappointing. It was sad. Because Allison could see that beneath all that anger, there was someone who was genuinely hurting. Someone who had been through difficult experiences and carried those scars into every interaction. But that did not excuse treating people poorly who were trying to help. As the commercial break ended and the show came back on air, Allison put her professional face back on. She smiled at the camera, welcomed viewers back, and moved seamlessly into the next segment as if nothing unusual had happened. Because that was her job, to keep the show going, to give viewers what they tuned in for, to maintain a sense of warmth and normalcy even when things got chaotic. But anyone watching could tell that something significant had just occurred. The tension was still there, hanging in the air like smoke after a fire. The cooking segment proceeded, but it felt different somehow. Subdued. The energy had shifted. Social media was already exploding with reactions. People who had watched the interview unfold in real time were sharing their thoughts, their outrage, their support for Allison, because they had seen what happened. They had watched an experienced, beloved host try her best to conduct a fair interview, only to be met with accusations and anger that seemed to come from nowhere. They had seen her remain calm and professional even as her guest became increasingly hostile. They had seen her try, again and again, to find common ground, to soften the tension, to salvage the conversation. And they had seen those efforts rejected at every turn. The story was clear to anyone who watched, without bias. This was not a case of a hostile interviewer attacking a vulnerable guest. This was a case of a guest who came in expecting hostility, and therefore saw it in every question, every comment, every moment. It was a self-fulfilling prophecy. Meghan had been so certain she would be treated poorly that she interpreted everything through that lens, turning a respectful interview into a confrontation through sheer force of will. And when called out on that behavior, when asked to take accountability for her own actions and choices, she could not do it. Instead, she fled, choosing to paint herself as the victim rather than acknowledge her own role in what had unfolded. The dramatic exit that viewers had just witnessed was not the result of Allison's questions or approach. It was the result of someone who could not handle being treated like everyone else. Someone who expected special treatment, expected to be above questioning, expected to control every aspect of the narrative. And when faced with a host who was professional enough, confident enough, and strong enough to maintain her boundaries and push back against unfair accusations, that person chose to leave rather than engage authentically. It was a revealing moment, a moment that showed character, or the lack thereof, a moment that would be replayed and discussed for a long time to come, because it was not just about one interview gone wrong. It was about accountability, about how we treat people who are trying to help us, about the difference between genuine victimization and a victim mentality. Allison Hammond had done nothing wrong. She had been professional, respectful, interested, and fair. She had asked the kinds of questions that any journalist would ask, the kinds of questions that help viewers understand and connect with a guest. She had created space for meaningful conversation. But that space had been rejected, and in the end, all she could do was tell the truth about what had happened and move on with her show. The viewers at home understood. They had seen it with their own eyes, and they knew exactly who the good guy was in this situation.